I'm not a fan of the destruction of art in any way or the destruction of statues, but at the same time, I don't like oppressive laws. And in 2003, the world watched live as a statue of Saddam Hussein was toppled in Baghdad. And this image, his bronze figure pulled down by American troops with the help of jubilant Iraqis, was hailed as the ultimate symbol of liberation. Yet today in Britain, climbing on the statue of Winston Churchill in Parliament Square is poised to become a criminal offence, with penalties of up to 3 months in prison and a £1,000 fine. The irony is almost cinematic. We applaud the fall of one statue abroad while legislating against even touching another at home. Statues are not just bronze and stone. They're political totems, elevated reminders of power, legacy, and collective memory. The statue of Churchill in Westminster is one such icon. There's another statue being planned of the Queen on a horse. There's a few other plans. One of them is bridges. But I do hope we go for a Queen on the horse. The statue of Churchill, admired by many as an heroic wartime leader, reviled by others for his imperial attitudes. To the government, however, it's become a sacred site, so sacred, in fact, that touching it in the wrong way will be treated as something like desecration. It's become a religious object. Yet 20 years ago, we broadcast and applauded the desecration of another statue, that of Saddam Hussein, because it represented tyranny. Why the disparity? Is toppling statues heroic abroad, but criminal at home? Are we comfortable only with the fall of someone else's history? Statue toppling is not new. From Easter Island to the damnatio memoriae of Roman emperors, when the Roman statues would be decapitated and a new head would be put on the top. And from the Reformation mobs smashing Catholic saints, to the Black Lives Matter movement pushing over the statue of Colson into the Bristol stuff, and the Confederate generals in America. Iconoclasm is a recurring ritual of social rapture, and if you go back to the 7th century, 100 odd years of people angry about icons. And as the anthropologist Aaron Tugendhaft warns, iconoclasm is both a rejection and a reinvention of political and social order. In his book, The Idols of Isis, he compares the destruction of ancient Assyrian statues by extremists to the defacing of colonial monuments in the West, and he notes a common impulse to assert new narratives by unseating old symbols, the destruction of Buddhas in Afghanistan. So why is Churchill's statue above such criticism? Because we are told he stands at the summit of our country's national or greatest heroes, as Sir Keir Starmer put it. But does national greatness require criminalising those who challenge or merely climb that summit? The new provision in the Crime and Policing Bill puts Churchill's statue alongside the cenotaph in legal status. It's not a war memorial, but it's being treated as one. Why? Because symbolic desecration now matters more than physical harm. No damage is needed, just the act of standing on top of Churchill's plinth is enough. Let's recall that many of the protests that led to the toppling of statues from Edward Colston in Bristol to Confederate generals in the US were non-violent. Their goal was not destruction, but reappraisal. And yet, under this law, a transgender rights activist standing on Churchill's statue is treated as a threat to national values. Meanwhile, no one has faced legal sanction for climbing on the statue with a pro-Brexit flag or for political grandstanding aligned with the state. We're trapped in what David Friedberg calls the iconoclastic cycle, where we sanctify images, then destroy them, then sanctify them again. And the same people who cheered Saddam's fall now demand reverence for Churchill. But statues are not history. They are decisions about what we glorify. The discomfort arises when the glorified no longer represent the consensus, or when the consensus is being questioned. And in the end, the lesson is not what we must pull down, the lesson is that we is not about statues, nor is it that all monuments must remain untouched. It's that society must be brave enough to engage with its symbols critically, without turning bronze into dogma or protest into criminality. I think a statue that we don't like, or a character that we no longer like, should still be celebrated as part of our history, but should be contextualized by having statues around him or her that that tell a slightly different story. I don't think we need plaques. I don't think we need big explanations. We just need other statues. Because as you walk through this parade of statues, you are walking through history. And if we forget that statues are about our history, then our public squares will become not places of memory, but mausoleums of unthinking reverence, or sites of desecration. And the statues that we erect are a testimony to a point in time, and that point in time is important. It may not be what we recognize today, but it was what people recognized 100 years ago, 50 years ago. And that's an important part of our history, of our shared experience. And we are diminished if we spurn that. But at the same time, adding a cone to the top of a statue in Edinburgh, I don't see that as being offensive. I see that, frankly, as being quite funny. And standing alongside Churchill, it's a shame that alliance is suddenly going to be criminalized. It's a shame. Churchill looks down on us, and we have an opportunity to identify with that statue as something that is part of our life today. I think all forms of censorship are disturbing. And I remember first going to Moscow and seeing the graveyard of statues and being slightly shocked, and thinking then statues need to be contextualized. There's a statue of Lenin in somewhere. No, where was I reading about this? Which has been turned into a skateboard plinth, which again sort of contextualizes it. We need to be imaginative with the way that we treat the statues of people that we no longer respect. But I don't think we should be removing them. We should contextualize them.